recent years, 2 uncontrolled evacuations occurred in major U.S. airports. One involving a man dressed as Zorro outside of a terminal with a plastic sword, and one involving an active shooter where he went into a bathroom in a baggage claim area and retrieved his gun from a previously checked bag. Both incidents sent their airports into turmoil, sending passengers to flee for their lives, running through security checkpoints, into the streets surrounding the airports and onto airport ramps. Others were held for hours on airplanes, on ramps and runways, while incoming flights were diverted to alternate airports. Communications were not accurate, causing confusion, which led to the self-deployment of armed guards and nearly all the police officers in the surrounding area. In addition to the lives lost, the mental and physical harm went on for an extended period from these incidents. Both caused large terminal evacuations that had disastrous consequences for airside and landside operations. It also reminded us that terminal evacuations can occur without notice and be uncontrolled. Many lessons were learned from these incidents, but especially from the active shooter incident at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. A detailed after-action report was written, and the airport took the lessons they had learned from this incident and implemented new measures into their emergency plans. They also made it their goal to follow up with every change they had previously identified and ensured that the new guidelines and policies were not forgotten. Some of the major issues that the airport staff encountered were trying to control panicked people in the aircraft operating areas, coordinating the large amount of law enforcement officers who self-deployed, dealing with the abandoned personal belongings and baggage, and many of the passengers with access and functional needs struggled to get to safety and struggled with their human needs during the recovery from this incident. With Fort Lauderdale and the many other incidents in mind, the ACRP 426 project commissioned the Salus Solutions team to research what guidance already exists regarding the evacuation of airports. Such guidance included Report 112, Airport Terminal Incident Response Planning, which addresses the management of evacuations, sheltering in place, and repopulation. However, 426 focuses on uncontrolled evacuations and supplements the previous research with triggers for uncontrolled evacuations, designated assembly areas throughout the airport, roles of staff during evacuations, marking of evacuation paths, preventing panic, and the role of law enforcement in clearing terminals for repopulation. Our research found that most airports were struggling with the same issues. From the beginning, it was very clear managing uncontrolled evacuations requires pre-planning, realistic training that needs to be exercised with all stakeholders, and that a real improvement process is in place. We also found that holding regular tenant and stakeholder meetings provides a platform to review the most recent events and disseminate the after-action reports to convey the importance of improvement opportunities. This is also the time to build necessary relationships and trust. Communication is also a key factor. By using existing digital signs and directional lighting, even if passengers are not fluent in English, they can easily follow directions to marked assembly points or shelters. Sending pre-scripted messages to all mutual aid partners and stakeholders, and tell them to assemble at pre-identified staging areas. Having pre-scripted messages for emergencies is a quick way of communicating. Other important facts were uncovered, such as smaller airports that have less staff members use a all-hands-on-deck approach, while the larger airports most likely will rely on first responders. Some airports do not have evacuation training for badge holders, and some only receive it once while going through the badging process. And that it's important to appoint assembly area leaders and use detailed checklists when moving passengers to safe locations or family reunification. An airport must effectively utilize law enforcement from other terminals within the airport. All personnel in the airport must be trained on the safe handling of important information and confidential communications, so people do not overhear and cause unnecessary panic, and to manage an incident from an incident command post and the Emergency Operations Center, using ICS and NIMS that provide the structure for managing all incidents. Visible signs to show shelters and assembly areas that can be seen from a distance are important. Directional lighting and floors that are activated during an incident, just like on a plane, is a good option, especially for people that don't speak the local language or if people are crawling to safety from a fire. Arrows are universal. The use of anti-ballistic panels that can quickly be moved into position by airport personnel can help provide tunnels of safe egress, and also fencing tunnels outside of SIDA doors can channel evacuees away from SIDA areas into safe zones. An airport must also ensure that all local law enforcement and regional authorities know how to respond to an airport incident and to pre-identify staging locations to prevent bottlenecking, self-deployment, and blue-on-blue catastrophes. An airport must also alleviate panic by having someone in charge in every key area and to have a plan for the preservation of crime scenes and for the authority to repopulate the terminal. Accounting for all personnel in an airport is extremely difficult. Airlines may provide a list of people that were scheduled to fly, or those that have already boarded or were evacuated onto planes. TSA may be able to provide lists of passengers who have been screened, and assembly area leaders may be able to provide names of the individuals that they have sheltering in place. Make sure to have security conduct a sweep of all airport spaces and solicit the public to report missing people. Care and feeding of passengers that are sheltered for a long duration is easily overlooked during emergencies. Cases of water, meals ready to eat, mini pop-up bathrooms, first aid and stop bleed kits, strategically placed in all locations, can be crucial, especially for elderly, small children, and people that have medical conditions such as diabetes. Relief pads for service animals can also be helpful. Passengers may also abandon their personal bags, leaving important snacks, medications, and hygiene products behind. To determine who has the authority to reopen the specific parts of the airport, whether it is safe to reopen, and how the incident may change the location of gates. Ensure that information is being put out before and during the re-entry process. Important lessons can be learned from every incident and exercise. Airports need to meet on a regular basis to evaluate and improve their plans and ensure training is being improved, and that stakeholders are improving their training. The financial and emotional cost of uncontrolled terminal evacuations is enormous, and it can take days, weeks, and sometimes years to recover. These strategies and many more provided in the ACRP 426 guidebook will help you prepare and reduce the impact. A free copy of this guidebook can be downloaded from the Airport Cooperative Research Program's reports website.